So I thought I would record a vlog talking about how I am dramatically changing up my programming for this new lifting cycle. I I've been noticing like two problems with the way I've currently been doing things, which is kind of having a higher rep scheme early in the program and being high volume and going to high intensity. And so I'd have like a week where it's 10 reps and then 8 reps and then 6 and then so on and so forth, eventually getting to 1. With the powerlifting movements and then with the weightlifting movements, I would similarly be looking to do higher volume either through like every minute on the minute type of stuff or through, doubles and triples, these types of things. So that's thing one, is this is the way I've been doing it, but what I've noticed is I go for a PR at 10 reps, and then a PR at 8 reps, and then a PR at 6 reps. And while I'm not like pushing the absolute maximum of what I think I could do in some of these volume PRs, the band of intensity is fairly high all throughout my program. And so this is perhaps a bit of a problem because it's inconsistent with overload. Even though I'm overloading over time, it's a bit more flat and then jump and then flat and then jump. If you think of the overall program where I'm doing PR, 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 PR. Okay, that's thing one. And thing two is that I'm doing a ton of different lifts, right? I'm trying to be competitive in 7 lifts right now, which is squat, bench, deadlift for powerlifting, snatch, clean, and jerk for weightlifting, and then for the odd lifts, I'm trying to be, right now it's bent press and one arm snatch, and maybe I throw in Turkish get up at some point, taking it a little bit more seriously. And one of the problems is this is a lot of lifts to work technically, and if you do everything fairly heavy, then it's hard to keep the frequency high, right? There are 3 things that can be high, you can only have 2 out of 3 things high at one time, right? You have volume, frequency, and intensity, okay? And if the intensity is high, let's back this up. So volume is the overall poundage you're lifting. Generally speaking, for me, this is higher in the early stages of the program, and then it goes down. What I was thinking I was doing was having the intensity be low at the start and then trend high, and the opposite with volume, so that overall it was a bit of a wash. But I think that that's not quite the case if I'm pushing really, really hard on the higher rep ranges as well. And so, okay. And then the third we have is frequency. And so a lot of these lifts are really technical, and so I want to have the frequency up. And then I want to actually get in a sizable amount of reps, and I need to get in a sizable amount of reps because I have to stretch them over 7 different exercises. And so the thing that has to go for a large portion of my program, I think, is intensity, because I want to have the frequency and the volume higher. And I think I've been overtraining by not incorporating like lower intensity portions to my training program. So this is the state of things as it is, right? I'm trying to figure out a way to increase my frequency by a dramatic amount and deal with the fact that I think my intensity is rather flatlined, whereas I want it to be increasing over the course of like a 10-week program or whatever. It's not quite flat, but it's like the slope is not very steep, and I want it to be a steeper slope for intensity. I want it to really ramp up instead of just being like pretty high and then getting higher. I want it to start off really low and then go up. Okay, so what I've done is I've rewritten my program, and I've written it, instead of going from like 10, 8, 6, whatever, I'm going to just use 3 rep ranges for the powerlifting lifts, which is 5, 3, 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a day where I do 5, at the starting of my program, sorry, back up a little. At the start of my program, I will do mostly 5s and 3s. And at the end of my program, I will do entirely 1s. And I'm going to mix them up all throughout. Something that might resemble slightly a Shaco program, but like, I don't know the Shaco magic. So it's not exactly that, but there's like, I'm going here, let's pull it up on my phone. So what I'm going to do is 5, 3, 1, and then for each rep range, I'm going to do 70% of that rep range max for one day, and then 80%, 87, 92, 97, and then 102. And so on the 102 day, I will be doing, so if it's my 5 rep max day, on the 102 day, I will be doing 102% of my 5 rep max. And so I won't be hitting very many PRs this program, but I am hoping that I can squeeze in a lot more volume. So what I'm going to be doing as far as exercise selection and frequency is I'm going to have an A day and a B day and a rest. So it's 3-day weeks instead of like I was doing a 9-day week before. And how I'm going to be splitting it up, I'm pulling it up on my phone so I can read it out, is on the A day, I'm going to be doing snatch, 1-arm snatch, squat, and bench as the main lifts. So I'm going to have 4 main lifts. And so the immediate thing to notice is if I'm going at a really high intensity level and then I have 4 major lifts, there's like no way it's sustainable. And so I think that's why doing this like much lower percentages is going to be good. But then I also get the reps in, because one of the struggles has been is how do I program all these different exercises and still somehow recover from it? And I think the answer is cutting down the intensity a lot. So that's what I'm doing here. I think 70% might be a little bit too low, but I'm just experimenting with it. So far, 70% just felt incredibly low. Okay, and then for my accessories on the A day, I'm doing Spoto press, supinating curls, and then 2 different plyo exercises, which the plyo exercises I will overload throughout the program. So I'll start with really low intensity plyo and get up to really high intensity plyo. And then I don't know what the exercise is called. It's like, I call them foot raises, but you put a kettlebell on the top of your foot and then just raise your leg, and it works, your hip flexor. Anyway, that's my A day. My B day is clean, jerk, bench press, and deadlift. So again, we have 4 major lifts, unless you want to count the clean and jerk as one. When I get to singles, I will do the clean and jerk in one. But for fives and 3s, I will be doing them separate. Also for the weightlifting, I will be doing 3-2-1 instead of 5-3-1. Okay, and then for my accessories on those days, rack pulls, forearm curls, javelin press, barbell tricep extension, and again, I call these hip flex overs. It's where you just like are straddling the kettlebell and you just raise your foot over the kettlebell. Again, the accessories are pretty light. And what I'm looking to do on each of these days is have 30 sets, 30 working sets, where 20 are coming from my major lifts, and then 2 sets of each accessory for a total of 30 total working sets, which I don't think I could recover from if the intensity is really high. In fact, I'm concerned about the 102% days, because I'm probably going to drop the accessories, but even then, trying to hit 102% on 4 major lifts might be a bit of an ask. We'll see how that goes. But in terms of how the training is going to look, it's going to be a lot different, because I'm going to have a lot of these easier days where I just have like no chance of missing anything. And it's like, before, what I would do a lot is I would push PRs on accessories, and I'm not going to do that. Um, just because I wanted to hit PRs, and like just for mental and motivation, that's like kind of where I came off on the training philosophy, is I would hit PRs but not really maxes. So I'd never max out on accessories, but I would just always go for PRs. Gonna try not to do that as much now. In terms of what the days are going to look like or how it's going to progress, let's pull that up here. So the day one, which I'm already like a few weeks into this program, and so far I'm liking it. I feel really good, but the question is going to be like, well, what do my gains look like? So day one is intensity level 1, which is 70%, 5 reps. And so I do A day, B day, rest, and then week 2, and then again that's 3-day weeks. Block 2 is 70% for 3 reps, and then 80% for 5 reps, 80% for 3 reps, 70% for 1 rep. So notice I've done 2 of the 5s and 3s and only 1 of the 1s. And so again, it's chunked so that the 5s are earlier, and then mostly 3s, and then mostly 1s as we progress through the program. Okay, and then 87% with 3, 5s for 87%, let's see, 3s for 92%, 5s for 92%, and then 5s for 97%, and then, I missed one of the, anyways, you get the idea, where I'm cycling through the rep ranges, but I'm slowly getting the 5s and the 3s out of the way first, and then moving towards the 1s at the end, where the intensity is going to be high. And then for deload, I think I do like 85% and 70%, and it's the same idea. So, okay, this is what this looks like, and I think that if you're looking at like the principles of like strength training, I'm doing more in terms of the structure is like more overload, because I'm starting at 70% and I'm like really ramping up, and so I'm hoping that structure helps out more, even though the intensity is lower. And then also I think I'm getting more specificity, because I can get in a lot more total reps of all the exercises, because instead of doing, like having a weightlifting day and doing snatch and clean and jerk and then accessories, and then having a like powerlifting day, where I do squat or deadlift and bench, where I'm only getting like 2 main exercises per day. Now I'm getting 4. Obviously I can't recover from it if I trained the way I was, and so what I'm cutting down on is the intensity, so that I can recover and keep the frequency high and keep the volume high. Volume relatively high. It's really not that high when my max rep range is 5, right? Because I'm not going to have too much total reps. But I also just think I think I've also just probably pushed the higher rep ranges too much, like throughout trying to improve. Considering I'm training for 1 rep max, like I think it's too low in specificity what I've been doing historically. And of course it's good for hypertrophy to do like the 10s and the 8s and even like the 12s. I've done a lot of that sort of stuff. But I think that this program is going to look good. If anyone's interested in like actually like having this program, I can probably put it in an Excel spreadsheet. I'm reluctant to do so without anyone expressly like giving some sort of interest, because as far as I can tell, no one else is training. Supertotal training is uncommon, and then whatever I'm doing here with these like couple extra lifts, nobody else is doing. So okay, I'm also going back to the drawing board a lot with my one arm snatch form, and so we'll see how that shakes out. Uh, I suppose I'll just give the like short of it, or like the long and short, or the rundown. Um, I currently I stand, or what I was doing before was I was standing about 2 inches back from the bars with the tip of my toes. So I was standing pretty far back, and I was focusing more on pulling back and really extending through the obliques as part of my extension. And so this would cause a bar pattern where I'm pulling back pretty far. But I think it generates a lot more power than what I'm trying to switch to now, where I am starting with already contracted in the oblique and more square facing. And so instead of focusing on pulling back, I'm trying to pull up more. And I can start much closer to the bar with this. And so I'm starting with like maybe my toes 2 inches under the bar. So maybe a total 4 inches closer to the bar. And I think that we'll see how this, I haven't tried pulling really heavy. So far, this feels pretty good. I'm not going to pull heavy because I'm going to stick to the program. Also, I think that out of all the lifts I do, I get like the most comments on bench press being dangerous, but I actually think one arm snatch is probably the most dangerous, perhaps behind squat. I've just hurt myself most squatting out of anything else, and it's like not even close. Yeah, so I don't want to just like try pushing it. Also, I'm trying to develop the form quite a bit because, you know, if you're out of position on the one arm snatch, I think it's more punishing than or like it's easier to be out of position and then you get punished. It's the easiest lift to be out of position because you're just trying to. If you're doing it with the twist, you're managing like full directionality. Like if you're too far to the left, too far to the right, too far forward, too far backwards, you're out of position. And you're doing a 90-degree twist, and so it's easy to be out of position. Like I fail like 60-70% of my 1 rep max while warming up all the time. It's like very common just to fail while warming up with really lightweight. But anyways, I'm going to be working on that form quite a bit, and hopefully that I can also get something done there. It feels really promising so far. Both the form and the new way I'm structuring my programming. Also, I don't feel like just crushed after my workouts as much right now, which I think I'm going to start to feel crushed later, because right now I'm at the 70%, 80%. So I think when the 92%, 97%, 102% days start rolling around, I'll start to feel pretty crushed. But we'll see how recovery goes. I might have to switch something else up based on feel with the like 92% days. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just like switch it to like A1, A2 day, B1, B2 type of thing. When I get to 97%, if it doesn't feel good, something like this, because I'm not preparing for a specific competition, so I'm more flexible with my programming. We'll see how this goes. If anyone has any ideas as far as like a discussion goes of ways to, like, the problem for me is just every single one of these lifts is like demanding on the shoulder except for the deadlift and the squat, because they're just all overhead lifts, and I have yet to figure out a way to like really work them a lot without like generating a decent amount of shoulder fatigue. Like even now, like my left shoulder like does not feel very good, and so I'm like currently like on a deload period with the 1-1 day, or the 70% for singles, and I'm actually being bad. I like kind of skipped one of my gym days just because they're just singles and it's at 70%. I should have gone, but like the volume's maybe not that useful. But like yeah, the point is like my shoulder doesn't feel super hot right now. It feels okay. Um, I'll just pull off of it a bit with the one arm lifts as a way of like kind of taking it easy, and then. Um, but if anyone has any ideas how to structure programming to make it easier on your shoulder, or the other thing is like, is there a good way to train bench, snatch, or clean and jerk that's not hard on your shoulders? Like I've considered just doing like a ton of pec deck stuff, where it's no shoulder, but yeah, I think that what I'm doing now is probably a bit of a solution where you have a lot of really low intensity days, um, because this allows me to get the frequency up and the like total reps and sets up really high as well, without hurting the shoulder too much. I still haven't had a shoulder injury since I tore my labrum a few years ago, which was before I started doing all this one arm nonsense. Everyone in the comments is always like, "You're gonna destroy your shoulder," and it's like, to some extent, my shoulders have like never felt stronger. They just like feel tired, like really tired, um, and like it's more fatigue than like this. Anyways, people. That's always the comment on the one arm lifts. Everyone thinks I'm gonna hurt myself, and it's like, so far I've like injured my shoulder like 4 or 5 times, and none of them have been on one arm lifts. So we'll see if we can keep that train going. Anyways, YouTube algorithm. Oh, also, if anyone has any requests, I've been thinking of doing tutorial type things, but doesn't seem to be interest in it. But if people had an interest, I would get around to doing that. YouTube algorithm stuff. If you want to help out, feel free to comment, like, link, subscribe, all that jazz, and have a good day. I thought I clicked stop taking.